Hi guys, today I am back and I'm going to be talking about what palette I might like to pan in 2023. So as you may know, this year I am doing a rotational Pan Those Eyeshadow Palettes project. I will link that down below in case you're curious, but for the upcoming year, I think I want to do a Pan That Palette video. I want to focus on something and see some really good progress on it, especially since I recently did let go of a couple of palettes in my collection. I want to really dive into the ones that I have left. So the first two palettes that I'm considering are little palettes that I think I can actually completely use up, and that is my Smashbox Cover Shot Matte Eye Palette and my Tarteist Pro To Go palette. As you may know, I did pan this in 2021, and I did pretty good on it. Now, one thing that has changed is, oh no, I tried to repress a shade into where Drive used to be. That's not working, so I'm just gonna give up on that. That's the second time that has happened to me. I did use a little bit of styling to make that new Drive shade, but so that has seen some progress, but everything else in this palette is where I ended in 2021, so I definitely got a lot of use on it, and I wasn't even really wearing makeup consistently for 6 months of the year because of my work. So because of that, I do think I could definitely get this finished off in 2023, and that would be really satisfying to see this palette through. Gotta throw away the old eyeshadow that fell on my desk. My Smashbox Cover Shot Matte palette, I used one of the shades to franken a bronzer and make it a little bit lighter, and to create that Drive shade that you just saw fall on my table. So meh, it's okay. I don't really tend to use these matte creams like a ton, so I'm not pressed about it. And then I have two other pans that I made in 2020 in this palette. If I did pan this, I would not expect myself to use up the black completely, but I do think I could use up the rest of these mattes, and this may give me like a way, it's staple matte shade, so that I could like dip into other palettes for the shimmers and the metallics and the pretty special shades in them. So that's kind of why I'm considering this. It's also super small and would be good for travel and for work. So that's kind of my thought process with this one. My Tartelette and Bloom palette. I've had so much fun playing with this year. If you don't know, this was the first palette that I rolled into my Pan Those Eyeshadow Palettes project this year, and I hit 3 new pans on it, and I've just been really loving reaching for it. I hit pan in Rocker, Charmer, and Sweetheart, I think. So yeah, I have pan in over half the shades in this palette. Again, I don't know if I would necessarily use up these 3 shades, but I could definitely do some damage on this chunk of the palette, and I do really love it, and it is one of the oldest palettes in my collection, so that is a reason that I'm leaning towards panning this one. Another palette I was thinking about is my Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette, and that is largely because I can tell that there has been a change in the formula in some of these shades. They used to be very like soft, like almost ColourPop Super Shock Shadow Soft, and now the only one that's still that texture is really this pink diamond shade. But look at those. This is such a beautiful palette. I have hit pan in 2 of the shades, Sandalwood and Bubbly. I rolled it into my Roulette Pan collab at the very wee beginnings of my channel back in like 2020. So yeah, you can see I have 2 pans here and here. I could definitely do some damage on this palette, but I do not think I can use it up. My main motivation for this palette is if I am already noticing a change in the formula of these metallics. I don't know how long they will be as beautiful and perfect for, and I want to make sure that I enjoy them while they are at that consistency. So the last 2 palettes that I am considering are not very well loved, not very heavily used, and that's why I'm thinking about them. It is my Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam and Sultry palettes. I wouldn't necessarily pan both of them at the same time, But both of these are stunning. I mean, look at that. I absolutely love my eyeshadow every time I play with them. And that's kind of why I'm thinking about painting them. They're something that I love every time I use them. So a part of me is like, why don't you get good use out of something that doesn't have really good use in my collection yet, and I know I'm going to like it. I know I really, really love both of these palettes, and I have a great time every time I use them. So that is, I'm just so torn. Like, I want to pan all of the palettes at once, and like, I definitely can. And then a part of me, when I'm looking at this Smashbox palette that's so little, I'm like, okay, well, I could use it in conjunction with my Huda and use those really special metallics that I'm worried about running out. Or I could use it with some of the absolutely stunning metallics and special like pops of color and different tones in this palette. So I'm really just not sure. I might set it up to where I'm considering a couple different formats where I pan a palette, or I pan a palette and rotate in like supplementary palettes, or if I just kind of let myself play with these other beautiful palettes in my collection at other times. I really don't know what I'm going to do yet. So if you have any recommendations, please leave them down below. I feel like there's really good arguments to pan any one of these, but I really love all of these palettes, so I can't really go wrong. And I am so excited to start all of my 2023 projects. I know I have like 2 months left of the year, but I'm still just over the moon excited. So that is everything that I have for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you are having an amazing, awesome day wherever you are. If you have an opinion, please leave it down below. And if you missed my pan, those eyeshadow palette series, or my pan that palette of this little guy, then I will link both of those down below for your viewing pleasure. That is everything. Have a great day. Thanks, guys.